say a special good morning. Those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9. Those of you viewing via GBN TV, whether you're viewing Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 20, good morning. Those of you via our social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning and welcome. I always seem to forget those of you via GBN's webpage, gbn.gd. Good morning to you and welcome. Let me say good morning to our rep from the RGPF this morning. It's Detective Coutain, right?
Kimber.
Coutain. Good morning to you, sir. Welcome.
Yes,
I think I should get the name together by now, but I don't know what's going on. Anyway.
Yes, Good morning to you, man. That's okay.
Good morning. And of course, Kimber is representing the Criminal Investigation Department this morning, and our conversation this morning will be on firearms. I guess the nation will know. Recently, there'll be that firearm amnesty that was out. And we're going to share more information for folks who maybe have missed the conversation that is going on for the last couple of weeks. The do's and don'ts of it still, and of course, what can occur if individuals are caught with firearms even after the amnesty has wrapped up. And we're still within the month of July. And I think the amnesty goes up to the end of July. So we're talking firearms this morning and other offenses that, of course, weapon offenses. That's our conversation this morning. Let's start off the conversation this morning. There's an act that is out. There's an act that's always been an act there in terms of the offenses under the firearm and weapons, that particular act. Tell us a wee bit about that this morning.
Right, so it's an act that has been implemented for quite a while now, and it's an act, in fact, that a lot of person by force is brought to a position where they need to understand what the law says. Yeah. It speaks to offenders. It also speaks to legitimate persons who hold firearm, who are bearers of firearm license. Yes. And even for dealers, they need to have license under that act. So that act gives provision on the different areas, different sectors. All right. So as a dealer, as a firearm holder, as an offender, if you contravene the law, there are certain things that you have to hold a consequence to. Okay.
Let me talk in offense. What are some of these offenses that we could speak of in terms of under that particular act?
Well, one of the prevalent offenses, maybe two to speak of, is possession of firearm and possession of ammunition. All right. That is one of the offenses that we have seen a lot over the years, and even more so in recent time. Yeah. Right?
You are found with a firearm, and you're not of course, a license holder, a holder of a license for a firearm. What are some of the penalties an individual can run themselves into under that nature?
Right. So if you are in possession of a firearm, a gun, or even ammunition, what the law says that if you are caught by the police or lawmen, then on summary conviction you can be fined up to $4,000 minimum, or up to $20,000 maximum, or time in imprisonment no less than 2 years, but no more than 5 years. Now, on indictment, and this had to do with more ammunitions or more firearms, you can go up to prison up to 20 years. Yeah. Right? But no less than 5.
No less than 5.
Yeah. You can pay a fine of $20,000 or up to $60,000 just for being in possession of illegal firearm or ammunition. So it's a serious offense under this act that we the police have been seeing occurring, and it's a great concern for us.
Does if we have to go back to the act just a wee bit, yes, we firearm seems to be the dominating the conversation that seems to dominate lately. Yes, but the acts also speak of weapons in general. Yes, I mean, does the act speak for other weapons besides a firearm also?
Well, yes, it also speaks about imitation firearm. Yeah. So if you have a instrument or apparatus that imitate that of a real firearm, the law speaks to using that in the intent or the commission of an offense. Okay. Right? That is something that...
So somebody goes hold up a store with a toy gun, I mean, we just make it.
Yeah, well, we have seen this in the past. Yeah. And it's really dangerous too, because God forbids that you take that risk of imitating a firearm and you confront someone who is in a position to retaliate or to defend themselves, or they themselves are whole of a legitimate legal firearm, the outcome would be to your detriment, honestly. You know, so it's something that we don't encourage anyone, because even an imitation firearm will cause fear that's equivalent to a real firearm. Because in a state of shock or fear, whatever presents itself looking like to the person it is, and its equivalent damage it will do. So that is something that we really speak against. Trying to imitate or to play or to make gestures or pranks. We're in a different time now that we cannot afford persons to play around or to try to imitate what they see on TV or try to cause fear through some trick or some game. You know, we're in serious times and we need to understand that we need to be responsible in our actions.
All right. What about the concerns from the RGPF, especially the criminal investigation people, in terms of the concerns of folks who are not contravening of this particular act? What are some of the concerns?
Well, we will speak about societal effects, right? Effects, rather. One of our concerns is that the fear will increase in the communities or people. We will see that when people contravene this law, no longer you will see persons are ready to go out in public and enjoy themselves. There's always a fear factor that what if someone were to be indiscreet with the action or discharge of firearm in public? And these are one of the offenses to wantonly discharging your firearm or discharging your firearm within 14 yards of a public place or road. The law speaks against that. And this is one of the concerns that we have, the fear generally towards our people.
In Grenada, for say, to the CID criminal investigation department, do we get a lot of reports of that particular nature where people are just concerned about the fear of going out to events and so forth and knowing that, of folks having these kind of... Is it that prevalent in Grenada? Maybe, I mean, I know, but I'm just sometimes there's information that we don't know here to.
But there is information that comes in at our office at our CID where there is genuine concern from our citizens, where they may see a large gathering and they might see certain gestures or certain movement that suggests that a person might be in possession of a firearm. Right? And these calls comes in. So yes, to say we do receive information and calls of concern from our people in respect to these illegal firearms being out there.
All right. So that's when we come back to the conversation of the social effects of it.
Yes.
People going out and just having that fear of not wanting to be at events. We have the 2024 carnival season that is approaching right now. What advice would like to, of course, maybe just a bit of consoling individuals going to be attending these events and so forth, knowing that the RGPF will be there and, offering that necessary support some way or the other?
Yes, well, it's imperative to do so. Notwithstanding the recent incidents or reported incidents of gun-related violence, so to speak, or a person being caught with possession of a firearm, it is a fact that the RGPF recognized it, and we have taken place to increase security, boots on ground, and to have a lot of interceptions by way of road checks, traffic checks, vehicle checkpoints, and so forth. And just generally going out in the community. And that is one thing, too, that I believe that many of the committee members could attest to. That in recent times, for the last couple of weeks, there had the initiative of the RGPF that we go out in the communities. Just as recent as yesterday, last week, and weeks before, twice a week for the least, we will go out in community and so try to sensitize the public in respect to the do's and don'ts and being responsible and meeting the young men, the young women, where they are on the streets and the blocks and going to your homes. And we go out there just trying to reassure the community, the people, that the police are taking certain initiatives in respect to proactive approach against these kind of issues. All
right. What has been the success rate of these, of course, when you go out and speak to with the various communities and so forth, in terms of the response from communities in terms of that? How has been the success rate been like?
Well, the response, I would say, is very satisfying, honestly. To speak to success, I'll say there is success, but there's always this extra drive. We want to have more. But we are impressed, in fact, to the response we're getting from the general public. And even from the people that ordinarily you would not expect to get that response from, that positive response. So we have been getting the community buying into our concept against the fight against violence, and gun violence particularly in this case.
All right.
So it is successful.
Yes, great. Yes. We do for a break. Let's take our first break in this segment this morning, folks. We'll be right back with much more for you. Stay with us here on To The Point. We'll be right back. Don't touch it out.
Gun-related crimes can pose serious threats to our communities, leaving villagers alone, children without fathers, and broken families. Positive activities like sports is what we need to bring our communities together, especially our youths. So let's bring in the guns. You have nothing to lose. The gun amnesty remains in effect until July 30th, 2024. Folks, let's bring them in.
The gun amnesty remains in effect until July 30th. A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Experience the heart and soul of Spice Mass at the Glen Traditional Mass Festival on Saturday, July 27th at Hero Square, Victoria in St. Mark. Join us from 3 p.m. and witness the spectacular cultural display of the various traditional mass bands such as Feko, Shortney, Wild India, Jab Jab, and Maypole dancers with vibrant costumes, infectious music, and unforgettable cultural tradition. Bring your family and friends to enjoy an afternoon filled with excitement and heritage. Your presence is not just a visit, but a contribution to the preservation of our rich Grenadian culture. The Traditional Mass Festival, commencing 3 p.m. Hero Square, St. Mark. See you there. Saturday, 27 July. This event is sponsored by Glen.
Fly the Jones, Switch, it's Lava Man. It's all about Spice Up the Carnage Soca Mona competition. It starts on the 26th of July. It's going to go on to the 2nd of August, then the 9th for the finals. I will be the host. Fly the Jones, Switch. Get there, see you there, be there. Nothing but vibes. Real mashup, yeah? Mad. Right on the head.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio and, of course, GBN TV. With us this morning, we have, of course, Detective Kimber Coutain with us this morning. And we're talking firearm and other, of course, weapon offenses this morning, and he represents the Criminal Investigation Department. Detective Coutain, welcome back. Let's continue our conversation this morning. I want to talk a wee bit in the use, the control of legal firearms. When I ask this question, I would say there are individuals who may have a firearm and it may be obtained legally. They are going through the process of getting a license or so forth. They're using, I say locally, have a license gun. Understand? Some folks may say that. Let's talk about the use and control of that legal firearm. When we say the use and control of it, how does that fall with the RGPF?
Well, in our regards, we like to consider both angles, both the legal and the illegal control. Right. From the standpoint of the RGPF is that, first off, we have a zero tolerance to the owning, use, or being in possession of any illegal firearm.
Okay.
And hence the reason why the administration thought it best to have that law in respect to the amnesty and the provision given to persons who have these possession and want to give it up without any criminal implications.
Yes.
Right? And you spoke about that earlier in respect to that amnesty period will be ending at the end of July.
Yes.
Right? End of July, 31st of July. Now, the police, in fact, are trying to sensitize the public continuously in respect to giving that information out there, what is provided for them to do the right thing. To do the responsible thing. Yeah. Now, on the other hand, the flip side of those who are in possession of legal firearms, we have noted that there are persons who may not be as responsible as we would like them to be. And so doing, we may have firearms being lost, firearms being stolen, not properly accounted for, and this is something that we want to guard against. It's not an issue dealing with those that is illegal and illegally brought in. To have person who have legal firearms and cannot sufficiently account for them. So in that, we like to give advice, give tips in you being a firearm license holder and holding a firearm. Now, primarily with respect to the carnival season at this time, we see a lot of events. Person have firearms and go into events. We want to discourage that. That if you have to attend an event, you secure your firearm, you may want to turn it into a police station before the venue. And before attending the venue, and after you do that, then you can collect it. We'd want to advise not to leave it in your vehicle. Your license speaks to that. Your certificate of holding a firearm speaks to that, and that you are not to leave it at home unsupervised for a long period, because you are required to have a proper storage, safe and so forth for those firearms. Also, that it's very important to having a license to hold a firearm. You need to understand what type of license that you have. Right? You may have a license for the purpose of protection of life and property. That in itself carries certain responsibility. You may have a license for gaming. And when we say gaming, we simply mean that license would give you clearance to go on a range, to take part in sporting events, shooting on a range and so forth, or even hunting. Right? And that class of firearm you may have is not suited for you going out in public or holding on your person and saying that's for your protection, life and property, because it's all cleared for a different reason. And
maybe the types of guns are maybe different.
Exactly, different to conceal and a lot more different, right? And even too with having a license for protection and life and property, there's certain caliber of weapons that's permitted. You know, you're not allowed to have high power rifles. So if you see someone, or you know someone who may have a firearm, a high power rifle, and they are saying to you, I'm a license, that can never match up.
In a Grenada society.
So, that's a little pointers, even as responsibility to community members, that if you see someone who has a firearm, licensed firearm, there's a way how to conduct themselves. They can't use the firearm to try to intimidate or brandish for cause fear. That's a no-no. Your firearm is to be kept concealed and properly secured. When it's time is needed to secure your property, the law gives provision for that. To protect your life or to protect the life of someone else, it gives provision for that. So just to recap that quickly. Now, control of legal firearms. You have to take responsibility the way how you conduct yourself, the way how you would store your firearm, and the use of your firearm that is used for the intended purpose. And you're not to give somebody to hold your firearm who is not an authorized person to do so. So all in all, we need to be responsible in respect to our firearm that is legitimate, that is legitimately yours.
The word that you mentioned, the word purpose, and it's sort of something come to mind when you say the purpose. I mean, if an individual wants to obtain a firearm, and I guess they have to state the reasons of purpose why they would like to have a firearm, and there's a formally vetting process and stuff that goes through for the purpose that you're stating that you want to have a legal firearm.
That is so. So for a person who may have interest, right? But our Prime Minister spoke directly to that in respect to the limitation and careful consideration of issuing legal firearm license, right? Well, however, if you see the need that you want to apply for, there is a process. There is a prescribed form in which it has to be filled out, and certain documents have to be presented, certain medical to prove your mental state and so forth, that you are healthy, mentally cleared to hold a firearm. We don't want to have a firearm issued to a person who is not mentally capable of holding such a heavy responsibility, right? Then you have a form you fill out. You would present it to the Commissioner's Chief of Police, Commissioner of Police Office. Then that office will send out your application to be vetted by the necessary department or departments for vetting purposes, right? And after that vetting is done, then it will be sent back to the Commissioner's office, and then you'll be called in, and there's certain interviews that need to be conducted, inspection of your property, inspection to make sure that you are capable of holding and securing and properly maintaining a firearm. Right? And there's a lot of little things too, obviously, that when you come in, we will speak with you. that not necessarily you want to share on air, but there is a process with respect to obtaining. Because not any and everyone could just have a firearm because they want to have a firearm.
Because it also leads to another question about that. Because you have to have the individual have to be of a particular caliber. They may own a business, or so. I guess those are the individuals that may be considered being offered. A regular individual on the street like myself may not be considered for a firearm because I may not have any legitimate business that I have to that warrants me to be concerned about it in terms of people may wanting to or life threatening in some way or the other.
Correct.
And
it goes the same way even to you may be a law enforcement personnel.
Yeah. That
you're eligible to have a firearm depends on the reason presented. You may have business respect to security.
Yes.
You may have a security firm, you handle large sums of cash, you have a business, and certain reasons that will make you eligible to have a firearm for your protection of your life and your property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question that comes to mind, the question of reevaluation from time to time with individuals who may own firearm. Is there a process that goes through that in terms of the reevaluation?
Yeah, there is.
Because, someone may have obtained a license 10 years ago. And for some reason they, as you mentioned, the process of their mental state and so may depreciate a wee bit, and you may want to revalue. There's a process that goes through for that also.
Yes, there's really two folds to that.
Yeah.
Right. According to the law, that every financial year you have to pay for your license.
Yes.
Right. However, every 5 years your certificate needs to be reinstated.
Okay.
Right. That in itself offers an opportunity for the appropriate authority, being the police, to do a physical assessment of your firearm and storage and make sure that you're in keeping. The second aspect is indirect, really, because as I said earlier, by you having a firearm, you have to be in good standing. Your behavior, your habits have to be in good standing. It can't be risky and one that create more threat for society when it's supposed to be the other way around. And if that is the case during that period, then it gives up for reconsideration of your firearm license be reinstated to you.
Yeah.
Right? So to answer the question, yes, it's every 5 years according to law. And so that's a checkpoint. And I must say, and I will not go into it though, but the new bill that is passed, and will be implemented the 1st of August.
Okay.
Will speak a lot to that. A lot to you being a firearm holder, your responsibility in holding your license with you. If you fail to do so, the consequence, and all those things, just to ensure that we're more accountable and we're more responsible when we are holders of legitimate firearms.
At least in another question I asked in terms of concerns that the RGPF criminal investigation of individuals with legal firearms. What sort of concern that ever comes to mind with the RGPF as relates to that? Concerns, and we know an individual may have a legal firearm. What sort of concern that, of course, comes to mind?
Just the way that it's stored. And generally just being responsible.
Yeah.
The concern is that the authority see it fit to issue a firearm license and firearm, and then you do not take responsibility in the way that you keep it. You may leave it, as I said, in your vehicle, or you may fail to take necessary action. You may go to shows and want to have a firearm with you, and then when you are confronted by law enforcement in respect to declaring certain documents, there is a resistance. And there's a saying that I always say that to whom much is given, much is required. And you need to understand that if something like that is given to you, or you have that level of a privilege, there's a certain level of responsibility that is expected of you to execute a day-to-day. So that is our concern, really. Just keeping up to the standard and not allowing that firearm to get into the hands of persons who is not qualified to hold.
When it comes to wrong individual also who may have a legal firearm, and from time to time we may see them brandishing for whatever reason from time to time.
That is a no-no.
That is a no. That is, but I have personally have noticed it. I wonder why would individuals be doing that, or
that
maybe in particular areas where they at, you may hear them firing off shots or whatever. No. Is that permitted or not?
No. As I briefly stated, one of the offenses is discharging firearm.
Yeah.
Wantonly discharging firearm, and that's a no. That's not encouraged at all. And if that's a habit, we will advise that the general public report it, bring it to the attention of the police, because that's a concern. you need to be responsible. And if it happens, these are grounds in which your firearm license can be revoked.
Because that leads to another question. I mean, what are reasons that can cause the RGPF to decide, hey, I'm going to recall the license of that individual who may have a license for various reasons? What are some of the reasons that may cause the RGPF wanting to cancel someone who may have had a legal license?
Well, as you alluded to earlier, brandishing, being irresponsible, you may try to intimidate or threaten someone, discharging your firearm just for no given purpose in public places, just creating a scene, being irresponsible with your firearm. These are grounds, right? One of the grounds too also might be your mental or physical capability of holding a firearm, because you may, God forbid, become ill, or you may pass away, and then your firearm has to come back to the police, really. Yeah. It can't be left, not something that you inherit like that.
So it doesn't go as well for the hand-me-down.
No.
It's in the family, so it goes to a son, or it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. There's a process, due process need to be established and properly adhered to.
All right. We're due for a break. Let's take a break again. We're coming back. Don't forget to, of course, listen to the view. If you do have a question or two, we're still in a conversation here, but if you do have a question or two as relates that may have been of concern to you, you may be in the process of wanting to have a legal firearm, you probably, of course, Detective Coutain may be able to answer a question or two for you. You can always give us a call, 435-204. We'll be right back after the break. Don't touch it out.
Together, get them dressed. We're heading out to total fun and excitement. It's Uncle Talbury Kids Fest, Saturday, 27 July. More rides, more slides, more go-kart, more horseback riding, more games, more bouncy castle, and much more face painting. And all rides are free. That's right, all rides are free. Just get the kids in. Plus, much more cartoon characters. All the kids' favorite Canadian superstars will be there. Live. Talbury, Baby Bree, Lava Man, Boise, Westway, Dash, Temptress, Superfly and Flint, Little Jello, Muddy and Squeezehead, Soca Jeff, and more. Saturday, 27 July, Monroe's Playing Field, 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. Admission adults, $20. Children, pay $10. It's their special occasion. Uncle Talbury's Kids Fest 2024. It's gonna be bigger and better. I am the
Last say I had a dream. It was a scary scene. A dream of soca monarch. Watch how the place mash up from front to back. Whoa, last say a dream. Soca monarch will never be the same. I say a dream. After last say I coming back again. Tell them a dream that people will be shouting out my name. I say a dream. Soca monarch. Last say I take us something and show me. Of course, right now, my name is Shamak. I want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you outside here for the support, for the continuous love from since last year to this year. Thank you so much to GBN. Again, just want to say to look out for Shamak in Groovy semi-finals, in Power Soca Monarch semi-finals, and most importantly, GBN Spice of the Carnage Soca Monarch. I definitely will be there as well, performing beautiful song, Dream. So look out for you guys there for the support. Thank you so much, Shamak.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, once again to The Point here on Classic Radio and GBN TV. As I did mention, if you do have a question or two as we go through our conversation this morning as it relates to firearm, and of course, we have, of course, Detective Coutain with us this morning. Feel free to give us a call if you do have a question that you may like to ask. Let's obtain our first caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. I always like to call on your program and listen to your program because you somewhat be specific or you ask question to get an opinion or perhaps for someone to make a point. Now, a few days back, I heard and I want you, if you can give me the information. I heard that the government is giving people the opportunity to get barrels and not container, the smaller one, they build up with boxes. I cannot find the name now, I don't know why. Now, crates. And they said that you are allowed, everybody, when I say you, I don't mean you alone. Everybody could be 100, it could be 2,000 people in Grenada and Carriacou Pitimatnik is allowed perhaps a crate or a barrel. But nobody tell me the size of the barrel. Is it because they want to have special?
Caller, let me just intervene on you 1 minute. We're talking this morning in relations to firearm. I'm not sure where the barrel issue is coming into this.
So thank you very much.
Okay, caller. Thank you. 435-2041, 435-2041. Let us entertain another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
To your guest. Now, briefly, I think this firearm thing is favoritism where issuing of license. Let me give you an example. 2011 to 2013, I worked with a company. I don't want to call the company name on air, but it's to deal with going around, selling a product, and collecting hundreds of thousands of dollars on a daily basis, except on Sundays. Now, the manager advised us that we have to protect ourselves at all costs, at all times, because we're handling, I should say, attractive, dangerous cargo. Money is involved, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, let me get to the substantive point. The manager himself just sits in his office and manages the daily operation via phone. And at the end of the day, the workers, 3 workers used to go on the road doing the job. We applied, me and 2 of my co-workers applied for license because of the nature of the work. We were denied. We applied for our vehicles to be tinted dark glass with a note carrying for other officers to see why our vehicle is tinted based on the nature of the job. We were denied. However, the manager just sits in his office. He was issued a firearm. He was issued a note, and his vehicle was tinted down to, well, I don't know what is the percentage of the darkest tint you have. And he just sits there. At the end of the day, one of the workers had to take this bulk of money and go to a safety deposit box and deposit it sometime in the heart of town, St. George's, late in the evening, and sometime at Grandance. It depends on the time we reach, and we have to do our necessary calculations and total and balances, checks and balances. So I'll say that the issuing of the license, it has some prejudice or bias or something in it. You go to them, they look at you, and they just immediately evaluate you. They deny you. So the process has to be reviewed. However, the nature of the job was, well, the workers had to be sent home because 3 weeks after we went for the license, to check on it, one of my co-workers was beaten. She was beaten in St. Patrick's, going on the way back from River Sally to go back to St. Andrews. It was in that back road day. She was beaten and robbed. And, my heart, sometimes when I really think about it, all of that could have been avoided if she was properly attired for the job, if she had the necessary tools. That wouldn't happen because they attacked her with cutlass and knives and whatever. If she had a farm, you think that would have, she hand would have been broken and come on, man.
All right, caller, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's see if we have any response to the caller's contribution this morning.
No, I understand what the caller is saying. It's a concern. Okay.
All right. 4352041. There was a question from someone via the WhatsApp that is saying in terms of wanting to obtain a firearms form, what's the process the way they do go to obtain the firearms form and so forth?
Well, the firearm forms can be obtained at police headquarters, at CID, or generally any police station. Ones that they do have copies, but you can obtain that anywhere, actually.
All right.
Yeah.
No, and my next set of questions that we do, as we wait the other callers are coming, we speak a wee bit in terms of the gun amnesty. Now, the question that we ask individuals of there may know someone who is in possession of a gun, or they themselves may be in possession of a gun and want to go through the process of getting that turning in that gun, per se. What are the process they do have to go through? Or what concerns do the individual should not have, I would say, in terms of bringing that gun before the end of the amnesty?
Right, so I see a question in two folds,
Yeah.
right? You being a holder of a illegal firearm and you wish to bring it in,
Yeah.
right? The amnesty speaks to that clearance given to you, that you can, if you wish, bring it in yourself without disclosing your personal information, or you can have a lawyer bring that firearm in on your behalf. And one of the concerns I have seen a lot is that persons are fearful that if they, on the way to the station, on the way to bringing that firearm, that they are intercepted by the police. The law says that you can contact the station, informing them that, not necessarily who you are, but I am coming in at so and so time.
So prior to you
coming
to the
you should contact that station or that department, or that office that you're coming in. In the event that you're intercepted, that checks can be made and clearancing can be given to you. So that's one of the concerns. And on the other side, the flip side of it, if you have someone that you know that is have a firearm, I believe in tough love, that you want to save them, that turmoil in the event that they intercepted before. You can pass the information anonymously, and we can do a necessary intervention to get that firearm off the street.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Okay. We have a caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning. How are you, GT?
Everything is all right. Let's hear from you.
And good morning to the officer. I want to ask is that someone may be at the age of 40 years. At that time, they had applied for a license for them. They may have a business or some other place to secure and stuff like that. But how about when that person get down to the age of about 70, 80 years and they start forgetting and stuff like that? What would the police be doing in regard to that firearm? I want to hear the officer response, please.
Thank you.
Yes, caller. We did answer that question earlier, but I'll recap it quickly. Well, considering that you pay for your license every year, and every 5 years there's a reassessment, that period gives the police the opportunity to do that necessary assessment to determine that person is capable of. And especially too, we spoke on the issue of them being capable, mentally capable, or age might step in. If that information is brought to the police, we would do necessary investigation, because we may not be aware at a point in time. Providing that information happens, that thing happen, or that demise, or that person deteriorating before that 5 years period, you can bring it to our attention and we address it.
Okay.
Yes.
We have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, GT. Are you hearing me?
Hearing you loud and clear. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning to you and good morning to the officer. I must confess I didn't join the program at the beginning, but two callers trigger my response to calling. One, I think the caller that mentioned about the barrels and so on.
Just to take a note, caller, we're not talking in reference to barrels.
I know, GT, please. Am I to feel comforted that the police would do everything to make sure that this is not a route to import further illegal arms and ammunition? I mean, that could be a window. Are they thinking about that? Would that offer people that right to people to bring in barrels? The second question related to the caller, and I like how the officer responds. I mean, he doesn't have the authority to respond like that. I think you have displayed some real maturity here. But this is something that needs broader conversation because it raises questions about privilege and about, well, as the guy said, prejudices. I mean, we have a society where there is those who are entitled to certain things and some who are not. And we need to ask ourselves, should we have continued with a society where people are entitled to, some people are entitled to certain privilege and others are not? And if not, if we don't want that kind of thing, then we should work towards ensuring that the state provides the necessary security for everyone. And so there's no need for people to want to have individual arms, just as how if we have a proper transport system, a lot of people will be discouraged from having their own vehicles. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Any response to the caller?
Well, to respond quickly, in respect to the barrels being an avenue for persons to exploit in the bringing in of illegal firearms and ammunition, I must assure the listening public that these are discussions and these are concerns that even excise, customs, law enforcement, the police have. It continues looking on and developing. There is mechanism that reassures the public that checks is going to be made to prevent that, and we had successes in sudden intervention and the interruption of these illegal firearms coming in. So it's something that we, in fact, always have a concern about and looking into to master. In respect to the second aspect of issuing of firearms and bias and so forth, I believe personally, and I believe the RGPF hinged the morals on that every decision should be made on merit and as opposed to just favorism or who knows who and so forth. And I appreciate, I applaud the concern, and it's something that we should always try to maintain to reassure that we are not one that does things on just favors.
All right. We do have another caller via WhatsApp. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning, you're welcome.
Hello, good morning. So, a question. So, a person gets caught with a firearm now and is arrested and charged, they get put on bail, etc. When the 1st of August comes and the new legislation is implemented, the person that is arrested and charged now, would they be tried under the new legislation or because they were arrested and charged while now under this legislation? Which one would they be tried under?
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Responding to the call?
Well, the principle in law is that whatever period you're arrested on, that law will take its course and you'll be tried accordingly. Because I assure you, the new law will be more steep, and it'd be unfair to be apprehended on a period, and then you tried on the new period that is more severe.
Of course, it's only obvious. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning. I want to say, I'm not saying it, that I don't think nobody is arrested and charged. I think that people might be arrested and a charge is laid against him. The charge, I think, who supposed to charge is either the magistrate or the judge. Now, let's assume that I'm going to bring in a firearm, an unlicensed firearm, and I've been caught on my way to the station where I have to deliver it. Why I'm traversing it? Because I do not have the money to acquire or to get a legal-minded person, because as you are aware, they seem to be very expensive, and especially holding illegal firearms. And let's assume that the police held me, but I was going. Could I be charged, or could a charge be laid against me when I was going to deliver it? Let the police explain that, or you can explain that to me.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Response?
Yes, so we did in fact touch on that. The fear of police interception on your way to delivering or surrendering a firearm. Yes. There are certain things you should take precautionary measures in respect to contacting the police, let them know that you're coming. Or even better yet, if that's a fear that you have, you can simply call the police too and inform the police, say what? Come on so location, I have something to hand over. to save you that issue or that possibility of being intercepted before. Yeah. And even if you are intercepted and you genuinely was going to the police have investigation methods in determining what you're saying.
Yeah.
But if that's your fear, this is an alternative you can take. If you don't want to go the route of an attorney, just call the police anonymously and arrange a time and place where that firearm can be handed over safely.
Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, GT, and good morning to the detective. The detective is giving a very good account in explaining all the preambles of the amnesty and what should be done and what should not be done. But my concern is, the obtaining of a FUL, the firearms license, user's license, and the prerequisites. My thing is the age, because you have people in Grenada that have businesses, and some of the businesses do have lucrative income, right? So one might be, instance, he might be doing sales. What is the minimum age requirement? Because I know, for instance, the old land in Grenada had to be 21 years. Some age group, they had to be 21, some had to be 18, some had to be 25. So that's one question. Second, I know the laws are there for less deadly weapon in terms of tasers and mace sprays, because those are...
I think we may have lost
what is the law in place for buying one of those tasers or the mace thing to be used in case you don't want to use a firearm, you don't want a firearm, you feel more safe? Because firearms doesn't really save lives. It takes life. If you look at neighboring islands, you will see the death rate, and probably 80% of those deaths are related from firearms. That's one of the detective items. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, caller, for your contribution. It's well delivered, I must say. Your first concern in respect to age. Now, as I said, that each application that is granted in respect to the firearm user's license is taken on its own merit. Of course, there may be certain exceptions to law, but ordinarily you might have to be an adult, and you have to be cause and reasons for you to have a firearm, right? But understand what you say. There are businesses that are very lucrative, and that may put you in a position where you may need to have protection. But it must be taken on its own account, and the officers or police or detective must do certain assessment to assure what you have, what is issued to you, it makes sense, right? So it's on its own merit. In respect to your second question, which was what again?
I missed it a wee bit myself.
Yes. They had a valid second point.
I missed it myself.
Yeah, a valid second point.
Well, we drew for a break. Let's take it when we come back. We probably entertain some more calls in our final 10 minutes of today's program. We'll be right back. Stay with us, folks.
We say, yeah, GBN we say, arts and culture living, yeah. Rock the box we say, I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box we say, I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box we say, we'll be jamming here on a Thursday.
Fly the Jones, Switch, it's Lava Man, it's all about spice up the Coutain Soca Mona competition. It starts on the 26th of July, it's going to go on to the 2nd of August, then the 9th for the finals. I will be the host, Fly the Jones, Switch. Get there, see you there, be there, nothing but vibes. Real mashup, yeah? Mad.
Coming up, African emancipation celebrations build towards the big day. Crop Over rolls towards its own colorful conclusion. One of this region's top banks continues to demonstrate the power to make a difference. Welcome to another award-winning Home Away from Home. Caribbean athletes ready for the world. Souvenirs stitched from scratch. It's all next on this station.
Hey yo, Jefferson here. And I've been listening to some of the horror stories of the shootings and killings of our Grenadian people, and I think we need to do better. There's more to lose than to gain when we engage in acts of violence. So here's what. Take advantage of the gun amnesty. It's in effect until July 30th. Turn in that gun, son. and let's create a safer environment for all Grenadian people. Much love.
And let the good Lord save you from your sin.
The gun amnesty remains in effect until July 30th.
Welcome back once again, listeners and viewers. It's Classic Radio. It's the program To The Point for today, Thursday, the 25th day of July. Detective, the second question is relates to the call. I think we, of course, were able to gather what the call was actually. He was talking about protective equipment. He had reference to like the tasers and the mace canisters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking in reference to that.
Yes. So in respect to, we did go on this angle first.
Yes.
Now, he clearly would identify that the use of firearm oftentimes is resulting fatal.
Yes.
Someone is either lost their life or injuries sustained, and it might be a better alternative to have some other method for protection.
All right.
Right. However, we have in law illegal items and prohibited items.
Yeah.
And sorry to say, but the use of tasers and mace are prohibited items, and our law doesn't cover or give you clearance to use it. Really, but for the mace, it's used for law enforcement. If a security officer, police officer, it gives provision for that.
Okay.
But generally, it's not something that
regular citizens will be permitted to
yes,
use.
and I think that's something we should try to maybe look into.
Yeah.
Because we need to recognize that not everyone would want to have a gun, something so lethal.
Yeah.
Right? And we want to have alternative for their own protection.
Yeah.
You know, a little taser.
And it's generally a good idea to a point. I mean, it's less lethal, as you know, it's less lethal, but at least it could be a form of protection.
Yes,
of course. Under
thank you for that call.
Yes. We do have a caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning, officer, for educating me and educating the public. If someone has a gun illegally, and they feel that they can apply for a permit to have one legally now. Now, if they decide to, can that person keep the illegal gun, apply for a license, and if they approve, then they already have a gun, or do they have to get rid of the gun first, example through the amnesty, and subsequent to that, apply for a license? And, when they get rid of the gun, then what happens if that person feels that, why should I get rid of the gun already? Bought it and I get rid of it. I don't get anything in return for that, and now I have to buy a gun legally. So is there a way that they can keep the illegal gun, apply for a license, and then continue to keep the gun if the license is approved, or do they have to give up the gun and then apply for the license?
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Right. So that's a nice little question there, but it's very simple, to be honest, because we as citizens have a moral responsibility, civic responsibility also, to do the appropriate thing. If something is illegal, it is illegal, and you should do the best honorable thing, which is turning that firearm, right? And the reason why we want to fire them off the street, to be honest, some firearms may come with a history. Mm-hmm. It may be used in the commission of offense, and if that's the case, that firearm would not be on the street. And then you put yourself up for some scrutiny if, for whatever reason, that firearm remains in your possession and is later found by the police, and necessary checks is made, and it's linked to a homicide, a murder, some crime that you didn't necessarily or did not have any knowledge about. So the appropriate thing to do is to turn in that firearm and start the process fresh. And the beauty about the amnesty at this point in time, that if you turn in that firearm, your name is not linked to it.
Yeah.
Your information, who you are, how you came by it, there is no concern. The law gives you that clearance. We cannot ask you where you got it from, unless you want to volunteer the information for whatever help needed. But you are all clear on that. So you turn in an illegal firearm and let the police do necessary checks and balance respect to that firearm. And you apply for something that is new and is only used by you.
All right.
Yes.
And also for the reason for public with firearm, there's types of firearm that may be permitted.
True.
You understand? So maybe the illegal firearm may not be one that is permitted for you to have legally.
Yes.
You understand? Yes. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah. So somebody brings in a firearm, right? And It's anonymous, so on and so forth.
Caller, before you continue, there's probably some device that you have on in the background, your radio or television. Would you totally turn it off before you continue, please?
Sure. So, let me continue now. I bring in a firearm, right? I'm anonymous and so on. The police does their checks and balances, checks, the serial number and so on and so forth, filing purposes and so on. My question is, when they collect the firearm and so on, who is it say, like, for instance, searching if would you all be searching for fingerprints? And as I say, if it's affiliated with a crime that's already done before, is there anything that stops the police from probably after they do their checks and everything, and they find probably fingerprints and something to track back to me, who is the one that probably brought it in and so on and so forth? Is there anything that stops the police from arresting me after they find out that the gun was related in some crime or so on and so forth?
Thank you, caller. Any response to that?
Well, quickly, yes, I can do a response. A firearm that you will hand over to the police or bring to the police, check for fingerprint may not be relevant, because a firearm is something that you would handle. It will be in your hands. And obviously your fingerprints will be on a firearm. But investigation will be conducted. But as I said, the amnesty clears you in respect to that firearm. But we would have to investigate, and if need be, for whatever reason, we need to speak with you. It will not be on that capacity in relation to the crime. Right? Because your information is not to be ours, so we're not going to document who you are. We are concerned about the firearm. But we would have to do an investigation for checks and balances, as you rightly stated, so we can account for a crime if that firearm is used. So we can bring some form of closure or point it in a direction as to what we need to do.
All right. Understandably so. This probably will be our final caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. Let's hear from you.
A pleasant good morning.
Good morning.
Now, my concern is that I was in Grenada 3 years ago. I come to Grenada every year, but 3 years ago, I've been hearing this talk about guns coming in and guns coming in and guns coming in. And I don't know, sometimes in my mental capacity, I want to know what are we waiting for to harness this problem that's going to be evolve in a certain way that we can control it again. You see, it's just like what happened to Trinidad. It been coming in, everybody said, no, don't worry about it. Then guys and them ain't worry about it. Nah, don't worry about that, man. Everything normal, everything. And then you reach a point where the government cannot control it. And this is the part I look at. I know if anybody looking at that. I know there's a lot of information. There's another educational programs and everything like that. But for the simple reason is that sometimes even you there abroad, you're hearing about them fellas in Montudo easy, them fellas in Calivini do easy, leave them fellas in Woban alone, leave them fellas in St. David's alone, and we tend to harness this kind of old talk, So when people say these things, the guys and them in that area, they feel like they promote it to a certain level, you can't touch them. You know what I mean? And Grenada will become a place, which I'm not saying it's there, but I'm just saying it will become a place where you're going to shop in St. David's and you fear for your life because you're not from there. You're going to shop in Sutter's and not because Sutter's people ain't talking the sense. And that same old kind of ginger crew problem we had one time that we eradicate. We need to harness these things now. You know what I mean? We have people sending guns to Grenada in cars. They're welding certain parts below the cars and putting guns in there. When the car reach on the port, nobody ain't checking. Everybody just say, well, give us 35,000 and you go get your car. You don't put the car in there, especially vehicles and everything that coming from abroad. This is what people do. You put a gun in the hands of somebody who has no business. They're not doing no business. They don't have nothing to show that they need a firearm. And that's how you're supposed to get a firearm. You're supposed to show, listen, I have this business, I'm carrying so much amount of cash on every month end, so I need to protect myself. Not just giving somebody a firearm that does nothing and is just a friend protecting this and protecting that. You have to have a substantial reason why. And the next thing again, you have guys getting deported to Grenada. Like every other island, keep a tab on them. You know what I'm saying? Because once they come to Grenada and they figure, well, you know, I was a criminal in America or Canada, I could come to Grenada and do the same thing. Grenada is a small place. They ain't gonna catch me. I have enough experience in America robbing and doing that. And most of the time, it's these guys who've been deported to Grenada, who engineering all this thing and all this gang. And listen to me, in America, what you get from a gang? Nothing. All this gang thing, and you get nothing from a gang.
Cole, I'm going to ask you to take another 10 seconds and wrap, please. Thank you so much.
Yes, you get nothing from a gang. All these guys that want to, the bloods, it's just people. I hate when we as black people like to follow. And it's the same thing in America. Black people like to follow. What you get from a gang? Nothing. All of them go to the cemetery. The mother on TV bawling, oh, my son was so good. But all of them, they get nothing. And the next day again, you have a household that you know these guys he have a gun.
Cole, I'm going to say thank you because we are, of course, overdue on time. So I want to thank you so much for your contribution this morning. Detective, and let's get some closing contribution from you this morning before we take a wrap.
Yes, I can. Well, the caller who just spoke had some valid points. Very, 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 very valid points. And I will say thank you for that. And in closing, I just want to remind all this in public that we, the police, and the police alone, it's a collective effort, a collaboration with both the police and the community members. Be a brother's keeper on a good side. Don't indulge or encourage or turn a blind eye to someone you know who has an illegal firearm. If you can speak to them, persuade them. If you can't, you give the information to the police, let us do our interception, and in so doing, keeping our trial and state violent free. Thank you.
I want to thank you so much for, of course, your contribution this morning, and best wishes for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, folks, that's how we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. Join me again tomorrow, once your mind permits, for another edition. That's how we say goodbye.